My name is Clifford Hamilton. I'm a literature evangelist, otherwise known as colporteur. I sell spirit-filled books like Bibles, medical books, herbal books, children's stories, and other religious books. My number is 876-370-8141.
Good afternoon. My name is Yvonne Thomas Gale. I own and operate the Villa Park Early Childhood Center located in Villanova, Spanish Town. My contact number is 797-0838.
I'm Mahal Thomas. I'm the owner for HV Production. It's a multimedia business. Number 876-549-0714.
My name is Leroy Bryan. I operated Dennis Transport Company. I operate also a furniture shop, consists of cupboards and fixtures. You can contact me at 399-1672.
Hello, I'm Joan Lamley, co-owner of the Maranatha Health Food Store and Vegetarian Restaurant, where we use nature's wealth to preserve your health. My contact number is 876-779-6759. Thank you.
I am Paul Thomas, licensed real estate dealer and the principal director of the company, Thomas Forbes and Associates Limited. We are licensed
And we presently now operate Quintree. This business has been in the heart of Spanish Town.
I am Yvette Scott, a majority shareholder of Gladred Group, catering for all your taxation needs, importation and sale of used Japanese vehicle, office supplies and equipment.
322-4415.
When the song is over, when the music stops, do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? When your life is troubled, Jesus still wants to be a part. Do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Do you believe that he was born? Do you believe that he died? Do you believe his sins can be forgiven by the blood from his side? Do you believe his love can reach you right where you are? Do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Oh, do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Yeah. When the song is over, when the music stops, hey, do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? When your life is troubled, Jesus still wants to be a part. Do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Do you believe that he was born? Do you believe that he died? Do you believe his sins can be forgiven by the blood from his side? Do you believe his love can reach you Jesus? Does he live in your heart?
Today we're talking about the man called Jesus. You know, he said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He gave it for you and me. Let's talk about him. Let's spread his mission with someone today. God loves you. I just want to let you know, God has been so good to me and he can be so good to you. I just feel like praising the Lord today. I'm going to talk about him. I'm going to spread his word with somebody. Will you share his words? Come on now.
Confess him with your mouth. Believe him in your heart. Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus in your heart? Confess him with your mouth. Believe him in your heart. Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus in your heart? Confess him with your mouth. Believe him in your heart. Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus in your heart? Confess him with your mouth. Believe him in your heart. Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus in your heart? It's so good to know Jesus. 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 Do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Oh, do you know Jesus? Does he live in your heart? Say, you can know Jesus. Oh, you can know Jesus. 'Cause he can live. He can live in your heart. You know, oh, you can know Jesus. He can live in your heart.
I am Noel Terry, President of the Northeast Jamaica Conference, ASI chapter, and I'm here this evening to share how God has used ASI in the initiation and spiritual nurture of my business, Temple Foods, as well as its impact on lives. Listen to the following testimonials from former employees.
My name is Rasheen Harris. I am currently employed at the ASI Hotel in Kingston, where I am the Assistant Rooms Operations Manager. Now, I can think of a lot of people and circumstances that are responsible for the young professional that I am today. And one of those entities that I can think of is Temple Foods. Now, when I think of Temple Foods, I think of my foundation. I think of a foundation of spiritual and emotional roots. I am very, very grateful for the assistance and the guidance that was given to me in my younger days when I barely understood what it meant to not live just for oneself, but to live to impact those around you in a positive way. I have to say that, it's very inspiring to see things of this nature where assistance is given to young people. Every single day I've seen so many young people come and go through Temple Foods, who have received the assistance. So, hey, Temple Foods all the way. It's not just about the food for your body, but it's also about making sure that, helping to prepare young people for society.
My name is O'Neill, aka Kirby, and I'm one of the foundation members of Temple Foods, back then known as No Loss Foods, because when I dash away, nothing. The same could be said for Brother Noel Terrier. This brother throws away nothing. He has taken some of what society would call ruffians, present company included, and turned us into polished human beings, polished citizens of the world. We are scattered globally. And to do that without looking for recognition or accolades is a very rare quality to find in a human being these days. So I want to say thank you for your benevolence, your selflessness, and just your inability to give up and to quit on us. Thank you very much.
My name is Denver Hilton. I live in the community of Barnagrove, Manchester. This is where Temple Food actually started. At Temple Food, it was not just about earning our wages. The spiritual aspect was very important. We'd have to have morning worship, afternoon worship, evening worship, of course, going to church and Sabbath. Temple Food have really impacted my life in a very positive way, that I could assist in my community, in my church, in my country. Because of Temple Food have inspired me to start my own businesses. Through that welding shop, we have employed numerous amount of young men who could have assist their family as well. Some of them have leave to start their own business. Because of Temple Food, that gives us inspiration as young men. We can start something for ourselves. So I just want to say thanks to Temple Food, also to Brother Noel Terra for his impact in our lives.
These are just a sampling of the more than 200 lives who have been positively impacted by the ministry of Temple Food since its inception. Temple Foods began after much prayer and fasting to God to find a vocation that would not conflict with my newfound faith as a Seventh-day Adventist. It was a prayer to find a business model that would enhance the lives of its employees even as it seeks to make a profit, and a model that would be ecologically beneficial in reusing, recycling and reclaiming natural resources as well as human lives. The answer came when I was led to the office of ASI stalwart Evangelist Fitzhenry, who gave valuable advice on the implementation of the then Banana Ground Manchester, Jamaica church outreach endeavor. This meeting started a network that included such distinguished greats as Pastor Harold Campbell, the then director of ADRA for the then West Indies Union Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, as well as his successor, Pastor Claude Brown. It also included ASI stalwart, the late Errol Long, who came on board to fund and give guidance in its startup and eventual relocation to St. Mary and Portland. From the inception, the formation of this business model was carefully planned to incorporate the developments of its employees in order to give strength to the weak, as well as protecting the environment through the sustainable development of its natural resources. We believe at Temple Foods in nation building through import substitution, through the development and use of local raw materials. This business targets human resource development with an emphasis on at-risk young men. Its undergirding philosophy is that if you work at changing the negative mindset of the potential criminal by occupying his or her mind with a meaningful alternative, you can effectively
we seem to be losing that report, a very impressive report as to what it is that one can gain by networking, by incorporating Christ in the marketplace and bringing work and employment to many others. We thank God for the North East chapter that continues to share Christ and to influence lives. At this time, if we are not able to proceed with that report, we will just take the opportunity to remind everyone on the platform to call your friends up, to tell them that there is something that you cannot afford to miss coming back or staying on this platform for 7 o'clock. So we're going to ask you to call your friends, call your neighbor, send them the link that they come back for the business summit. It's one that you cannot afford to miss. Right, Tavio?
Indeed.
How many friends have you called? How many persons did you send the link to?
I've sent it to all my family members and a few friends. I will not give numbers.
They're coming on.
I'm hoping that they will join us. I think it should be.
All right. So while we're going to take the next report, we're going to go to the West to our new president, Wayne Clark, from the West chapter, who's doing quite a bit of work, and we want to hear from him. But while we're going to be hearing from him, I'm going to invite you, take out your phones, text your friends, send the link, 7 o'clock. You and your family, your entire household must be on the platform to listen and to learn from the experts how to navigate the turbulent seas of COVID-19. I'm counting on you. Go, call your friends, tell me I will go. I'm going to go to my neighbor right now and tell them to come on, because this is very important for us to go. So what we'll do at this moment, we will just hear from Elder Wayne Clark from the West, and then we'll roll on right from there.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here. This is a good place to be. I know we've been having muting issues. I'm just going to ask if you are hearing me, so I do not speak for a while and then recognize that I'm muted. Are you hearing me?
We are hearing you loud and clear, Elder Clark.
Thank you. All right, let me first apologize that we've not been able to send the report as was done. And so I'll just give a slight briefing over it, and then I'll move into the matter of business and how COVID affects and how we navigated, or if we did or did not get a good navigation. We will also tell you the times when we actually capsided. I've seen where the majority of persons sail through smoothly. Unfortunately, we don't have that report. We actually did some capsiding. So as soon as I'm done looking at ASI West chapter's activity, I'll tell you when we capsided how many lives were lost. All right, so the ASI Western chapter, really, we are engaged in a number of items. In January, we kind of rebuilt the thing. We re-energized the base of the ASI, and we came out with a number of directions of effort. Among those efforts, one of which we call, which we have broken down into initiatives, we have one that is Connect and Expand. In this effort, we decided that we are going to get as many persons involved, businesses, professionals, and so on, involved in the ASI effort. That we have launched. We have gotten 68 more persons on board with us, and it is growing. We have a number of persons that have applied to become parts of the ASI, which we have not yet admitted because we wait on pastoral references to have persons become a part of the ASI. So we are growing at a rapid speed. And we believe, we anticipate by the end of the second quarter, we should be having at least 150 persons. We have also what is called awareness and growth. In this category, we have decided and we have tried and we have started to help others in their intent on becoming better off. So here we have started reading classes across the conference. What our intention is to eliminate illiteracy from West Conference Seventh-day Adventist circles. So we are putting up reading classes for adults all over. We have started, we have had a lot of grown persons coming to us and saying, look here, I never got the chance to read and I really would like to read. I hear you're doing a reading class, and we put them in small groups all over with retired teachers and teachers that are not retired, and we're teaching persons all over to learn to read. There is also what is called the personal development. In this category, we have joined with the ministry, with the National Council on Drug Abuse. We have done a training because what we want is to get all the drug misusers / abusers we can get to stop abusing or misusing substances. We have trained persons. We have made contact with a number of persons who say, yes, I wish I could stop abusing / misusing this substance. And the National Council on Drug Abuse is there with us. They are saying we have the resources to help these people. And so right now we are engaged in that kind of a recovery process through sessions that the National Council is chairing, that we are fueling with persons and so on. I'm apologizing again that we don't have that report in a video form for you to see some of what we have and are doing. Then we have the extent under the same caption where we are trying to help others. There's a particular church that when we were doing visitation of members, we found that we found the gentleman who was literally sleeping under the bottom of a broken down building. And the ASI West conference, even though we are still a baby, just creeping off the ground a little, we walked over and donated $1 million to the effort of trying to help him get somewhere. And so not just that we gave $1 million, but we're putting in workforce into it, because we are reconstructing, we're constructing, demolishing the rubble that is there and constructing somewhere that is appropriate for someone to live and to put him there. We have also on our platforms this afternoon donated tablets and scholarships and Bibles to new converts, all of that on the West Conference platform this afternoon. And so ASI West Conference, while we can't give you the report, are on the move, and sooner than later you will hear even more greater things. I'm going to park it there so I can handle the matter of business as I was invited to handle. Now, thank you. I am one of the persons who do it a little different. Like I've said, I believe that the only reason we got the opportunity to be in business is because God has brought us here for mission. That's my understanding. God brought us here for mission. And because of that, I used to work with a renowned construction company, and I did another one as a project engineer with them. And one of the things that used to affect me is the way how the lowest level staff are treated. A treatment decreases as rank decreases. And I was uncomfortable with it, and I started my own business in 2009. And from 2009, I found God giving me ideas more and more. Among those ideas, one of the things we did, we started targeting violent prone areas to see how much persons we can train. We come up with an idea that we should target the stoplight, the people who wear glasses. And we literally took all we found at the stoplight, who started as a laborer. We taught them trades. We were having devotion, and I recognized that devotion was kind of just the singing and the clapping and over behaving, impersonal. So we stopped the devotion at work, and we started having Bible studies, specific topics discussed directly from the Bible. I'm happy to report right now, we have 5 new converts who are staff who got converted on site, who are now members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. One of those members I'm going to ask straight out that you pray for. This is somebody who is on a murder charge. This is somebody who is on a gun charge. This is somebody who wasn't going anywhere. When we just met him on his way to the projects, you could hear the beatbox of the madness of music, that he bought this huge music box, and nothing but what you cannot listen would be coming from it. Now the young man dresses and come to church early. No music, no smoking, no drinking, member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So what we do now is we deliberately have a target amount of persons that we expect to baptize for the year from work. Right? And this target covers a client, it covers hardware suppliers, it covers equipment users, it covers staff. From this number of persons, we say a minimum of baptism, and we change that per year depending on what we actually look like. This year, we have 20 persons that we expect to baptize from contacts, from work contacts, and we've only gotten 3 so far, but I know that God is able, and it's deliberate, it's purposeful, it's intentional, and there is nothing that's going to stop it, because God is why we came into business. Now let me deal with COVID quickly and how it worked us. Now, we practice architecture, we practice construction, and we do a little bit of costing for the NHT and a few other institutions. And so what happened when COVID came on board, we were upset with COVID because Mr. and Mrs. Corona, what they did, they came and toppled the overseas market in an aggressive way. We start hearing, you're not to lodge the check we sent, the transfer is going to be delayed, we're going to have financial challenges, we're not doing the last side of the guest house. We hear those things. I don't know how the others got a smooth sailing, but we got some rough hip. And so what we had to do eventually, we had to start moving staff from the construction into the architectural department. That's not easy because they do not draw. So what we did is we actually turned construction workers into what we call promoters. So we put them in construction shirt and send them in housing schemes with business card, and they would go and we drop architectural price floor level. So they would go and do promotions for reduced architectural price, and it brought in a lot of architecture because we're doing it very, very affordable. And so this is how they stayed at work for those who could. Those who were short-tempered and couldn't manage the communication, we had to delay their activities for a time. Kudos to the persons I've heard who said they didn't lay off anybody. We had a lot of staff, and so some of the persons had to do a little home swapping, and some of the persons we had to say, you are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this person's a different day. We had to have Sunday as a standard work day so that everybody could get 3 days. We cut the staff in 2, and this one's 3 days, that one's 3 days, and so on. Did God turn up in COVID? Yes, he turned up. God turned up so much that we didn't go to bed without food. We didn't have to send anybody back into the volatile area without the ability to feed their families. We didn't stop the mission, and we didn't stop the baptism. So I believe that through all of this, we can navigate the stormy waters. We can survive the rough seas as long as God is in the ship and we stay in the ship. We too can make it. And I'm going to say in closing that God is not just a God of the mountain, he's a God of the valley, he's a God of the good times, he's a God of the bad times. He's always God. And because we lose our light or electricity cuts off, that doesn't stop God from being God, and it doesn't stop him from being kind. He's always God and always a kind God. And I'm just grateful to be a part of God's mission.
Amen.
Amen.
What else can we say about the Tavia?
The only thing I can say is, Elder Clark, we thank you for laying physical foundations, but also for laying spiritual foundations and leading persons to the kingdom of heaven. So we want to thank you for that inspiring message. And I think that's just a suitable way on which to end this part of the program. Elder Clark has shown not only is he's breaking out of walls, he's building walls, building foundations there. So I want to just thank everyone for joining us at this aspect of the program. And I will now
Tavia, we just want to just to acknowledge again all the persons who participated in this segment for enriching our lives. If you run down the list, we have Hernel Latti, we had Dr. Edwin Tuller-Reed, we had Dr. Wedderburn, we had, come on, Tavia, let's go.
Dr. Orville Heslop, we had Brother McNally, as well as, just trying to remember someone's name there.
We had Elder Clark, and we had Elder Campbell.
Clark and Elder Ryan Campbell, yes.
Yes, we had them all. And we are certain that we gained quite a bit from them. The exchanges were rich, and we were truly blessed. As we have been blessed, the Sabbath is drawing to its close or has closed. And so we would like to close off at this time. I see Elder Cecil looking through his window to say, yes, it is Vespers time. And so we're going to invite you to just sit back and be blessed as we close this portion of the Sabbath out. But I cannot end before saying, kindly remember to come back at 7 o'clock. Bring your neighbors, bring your friends, and let us learn more from this. Okay? We go into Vespers. And our Vesper thought comes from our sister, Morgan.
God is an awesome God, and he promises that he will come back. And he will. Just trust him to his words. When Jesus was here, he gave us the words of eternal life, and he gave us his peace, and he said, I'll not leave you alone. But I know in my heart there's a greater blessing waits now for me. Well, 2 angels in white announced he would come back again. Oh, what a blessed day it was to be part of the crowd that was gathered there that day, just to see him go up and in clouds see him taken away. But I know in my heart that there's a greater blessing waits now for me. 'Cause I'll be part of that crowd that will be watching the skies faithfully. My eyes shall see King Jesus when he comes in clouds of glory. If I am sleeping, yes, Lord, I'll be awakened from the grave. And if I remain, I'll hear the trumpet, joyful sound. I didn't see him go up, but I'll see him when he comes down. 'Cause I'll be like him. I'll be like him. Though I don't know just what I'll be, but I know I'm gonna be changed. I know I'm gonna be, I know I'll be like him. Oh God, yeah, I'll be like him. Though I don't know just what I'll be, but I know I'll be changed at a twinkling of an eye. I'll be like him, 'cause I shall see him as he is, and that's good enough for me. 'Cause I'll be like him when he comes back down. My eyes shall see King Jesus. I know when he comes in clouds of glory. If I am sleeping, yes, Lord, I'll be awakened from the grave. And if I remain, I'll hear the trumpets, joyful sound.
So Sister Morgan will now lead us through Vespers as we close the Sabbath, or formally bring a close to the Sabbath.
My brothers and sisters, I'm sure you'll agree with me that we've had a really good Sabbath. The hours were well spent, and we praise the Lord for what we were able to achieve today. We've been given a challenge to go out into the highways and byways and help in whatever way we can to alleviate the burdens and garner souls for the kingdom of God. We're asked to display a life of overcoming, a life that exudes to the world that our encounter with God grows deeper, richer, fuller every single day. As ASIers, we are asked in this time of COVID-19 to go, grow, survive, and help others to survive. I want to just share with you briefly this text found in Nehemiah verses 1 to 34. I'm using the New International Version. And it says, "Then they said to me, those who survived the exile are back in the province, and they are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. When I heard these things, I sat down and I wept. For days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven." You see, Nehemiah, through spiritual eyes, was motivated by what motivated God. When he heard that the walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins, the gates were rotting, and the Jewish survivors were in distress, he fasted and he prayed, asking God to help him to make a difference in that community. God used Nehemiah mightily by opening up the hearts of key movers and shakers to help the weak to grow strong and the strong to grow stronger. We are called to be like Nehemiah, who was completely obedient to the will of God, even if we don't have the full picture. Nehemiah cherished and nourished his relationship with God and purposed in his heart to allow the Lord to live out his life within him. To me, the hymn 316 in the Seventh-day Adventist Church hymnal, "Live out thy life within me," speaks volumes as to how we will be able to carry forth the mandate to go, grow, and survive, and to help others to survive. As we go through this new untried week, I invite you to listen carefully, internalize the words of this song, and use it as your daily prayer. Live out thy life within me, O Jesus, King of kings. Be thou thyself the answer to all my questionings. Live out thy life within me, in all things have thy way. I, the transparent medium, thy glory to display. Father in heaven, a new week lies ahead of us, but we have no need to fear because you are in charge. We place all our plans before you and ask you that you have your own sweet way as we avail ourselves to be used by you. Continue to be the motivating force in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you all. Do have a productive week as you go, grow, survive, and help others to survive.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Sister Judy, for that inspirational thought. And certainly we are going to grow, we're going to go, and we're going to expand. I invite you all to continue to be with that we have been sharing with rich exchange from our businessmen so far, from our ASIers who continue to share Christ in the marketplace in every respect, as you would have noticed. We continue the program, which goes right up to 7 p.m., when we will have the business segment of the ASI Summit. We have our business forum at 7 o'clock. And remember, I did invite everybody to bring someone on the platform. If you haven't done so yet, it's a good opportunity for you to do so. We still have some rich music left to entertain you with. And we also have some individuals who we want you to take note of, because as we continue as ASI members, what we seek to do is to ensure that the weak becomes strong and the strong become stronger. So we have individual businesses, and we need to know where these businesses are. We need to understand. Are you still hearing me?
Yes, Yvonne, I'm hearing you.
Well, we need to understand where we are. We need to identify where our business persons are, and we need to support them every day. It's very, very important for us to do that. When we do that, we enrich lives and we continue to share Christ in the marketplace. So I'm going to ask you to just stay with us. Remember, at 7 o'clock, we have something more important and compelling for you to learn from and to gain from as church members, as business people, as good stewards, and we want you to be here with us. So just sit back a little bit and listen to some music and watch and see what our brothers and our sisters are doing in their marketplace. If you need a plumber, you need a mechanic, you need a grill man, you need a doctor, you need a lawyer, we have Tavia online, you need pipes, we have them all lined up for you. We are a collective group of strong people. God has endowed us with blessings. Let us use them. Let us get familiar. Sit back and see what's next.
When the rain falls down like a waterfall on your heart, when the moon and the sun does not warm your face anymore, and you feel like hope is gone, there's no shelter from the storm, you're all alone. Yeah, you're about to quit the fight. You have given all your might. There's no more. Remember, heaven is a place we will be free. You and me. No more sorrow, no more pain and misery. Yeah, yes. So in every situation, just remember our destination. On that day when all is over, we'll go home. Lift your head to the sky. God will be with you until you die. Stand alone if you must, and let it be known that in God you trust. You see, He will always make a way through the fire, through the rain. He'll be there. Yeah. So keep your eyes upon the prize. The name of Jesus Christ, He's your friend. Yeah, yeah. Remember, heaven is a place we will be free. yeah. 'Cause on that day, when all is over, we'll go home. We'll go home, yeah. Remember heaven.
Hello everyone, I'm Bruce.
And I'm Shanae.
Welcome to Advent Pharmacy. Here in 7 Water Square, Falmouth, Trelawney, we offer a wide variety of prescription items and over-the-counter drugs.
It is a norm for a pharmacy to supply medications to help with the body. But here at Advent Pharmacy, we also supply medication to help with the spirit. How do we offer spiritual medication?
Through prayer. As long as that customer is willing, we will pray with and for him or her.
We also engage our customers through healthy conversations, which means we not only offer good customer service, but we allow Christ to be manifested in our conversations.
Good. Not only that, we also have a WhatsApp group where we are working with 2 of our staff members present here.
And one of our staff members was recently baptized.
Through hearing the gospel. How about the contact information?
You can contact us at 617-3411.
Or on WhatsApp at 801-6925 and at adventpharmacy@yahoo.com, all lowercase.
Happy Sabbath!
Serious about building Jamaica? Build with solid PVC pipes and conduits, manufactured in Jamaica by Phosphate, made to the highest standard. Solid PVC pipes and conduits are made in Jamaica by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Available at hardware stores across the island. Take some solid advice. Support our economy and build well. Buy solid PVC pipes. Next time, ask for solid brand PVC pipes and conduits. Call our distributors or Phosphate at 876-937-5099.
Welcome to NNH Nursing Care Center, where nursing care is done with a difference. Here, we accommodate both the young and the old. We provide 24 hours nursing care, wound care, personal grooming, pharmacy and hospital run, escort to doctor's appointments. We have a doctor, a massage therapist, and a physiotherapy on call. We are a family, so you can rest assured that your loved ones are in the best hands of a family. Call us today at 799-6155 or 727-4403 and join us in the cool hills of Atherton Hall. Thank you.
This is Webb's Fabrication, located in Towell District, St. James. A member of the Mayal Seventh-day Adventist Church. And these are some of my grill work. So for all your burglar bar, metal gate, Webb's Fabrication, 312-4804.
Miss D. Brown's online tutoring service. For classes in history, social studies, and Caribbean studies you cannot miss. Affordably priced and Christ-centered delivery she ensures, resulting in out.
Check.
I don't know what's happening with our video, but those are some of our members who are in business, as I told you, and they are really showcasing what they do. Very interesting, because in times like these, we need to move on. We are moving on, and we have some more songs that we will just play until, remember, we have the very important segment that is coming up at 7 o'clock. So don't go anywhere, hold your chair, get your glass of water, and be prepared to see how much we have to offer our people. Turn it over to some more songs until we get there. Remember, 7 p.m., don't go anywhere. Don't ask me to sing, you know. we have had a very interesting day. Tavia, have I lost you?
No, you
We were
haven't.
blessed from morning until now. God has been good. We have had so many interesting experiences that were shared. We had the physical food. We had the spiritual food this morning. What a message that came from our president of the Jamaica Union of Seventh-day Adventists, Pastor Everett Brown. I was touched, weren't you?
Touched and inspired.
Amen, amen. And I'm sure
Inspired that
everyone that is
wherever
on this,
we are,
yes,
inspired that wherever we are, we're to, spread the word and to reach out to others using our various talents, professions, and businesses.
indeed, that's what God wants us to do. And certainly, if we don't have a takeaway from today, we must know that's important for us to share Christ in our marketplace, irrespective of where that marketplace may be. We have a responsibility to tell everyone that there is a God that loves us, and there's a God who wants to save us. And we have a mission as ASIers to take the gospel and help to finish the work.
Indeed. But I do notice that Elder Cook is honest. I think we could possibly not give him a little opportunity to just promote the business summit this evening, ensure that others, so we can keep others engaged. We know he's very good at that. So let's just, give Elder Cook an opportunity to just push forward for this summit.
Good evening, everyone. Tavia, it's not good to put persons on the spot, but I am on the spot. I think Cecil would have been a better person to bring in at this time, but nevertheless, I want to invite our audience, those who are viewing, those who are hearing, to a very interesting business summit that will come up minutes from now. We're looking at 17 minutes away. And I'm very, very excited about it. And I hope each one of you are excited to hear what the panelists will have to say. I see one of our panelists is on already. That's Mr. Trace Gale from VMBS. I also saw Marlene Street Forest was on earlier too, but I think she's having a little internet challenge as she WhatsApped me. So the panelists are getting in line, and I'm ready, and I'm sure we will come away as we have so far for today with a lot of messages, a lot of hope despite COVID-19. We clearly see that God is still in control. There's no need to fear. As Ellen White has warned, we have only one thing to fear, and it's we have forgotten where God and how God has led us in the past. And the God of yesterday will continue to lead us and will lead us into the promised land. Cecil, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nigel and team. Just to give a little prelude behind this segment of the summit. Look, we are in this world to occupy until Christ comes. We are in this earth to finish the work that God has given us to finish. So on a summit day like this, we started out by dealing with the major business that God has given to us as Seventh-day Adventists, is to share Christ and be inspired by his word to go forward and to reach men and women for his eternal kingdom. So that is what we have done all day. However, as a business and professional unit that ASI is, we want also to feed the people who are out there in business, whatever your business line is. If you are just selling juices, if you are just doing woodwork, or you're doing carpentry, or whatever it is, we want to be talking with you. and to be encouraging you to do what you need to do to make your business grow and flourish. And we want you to know that we want to know who you are. And so that's the ethos behind all of this thing. We want to know who you are. We want to be able to network with you, because the ASI group survives this way, by being in harmony with Christ and the church, by also helping each other to become better in their professional lives. And one key one is to network with each other, meaning that whatever you do, wherever you are, we want to know. And we want to therefore give you first preference in doing business with you, so you can grow your individual economies. And in growing these economies, we can have more that we can offer to the finishing of God's, the spreading of God's word. And so it is with this that I just explained to you what is the ethos behind the speaking directly to business and professional people. And there might be people out there, even though there's a pandemic, might want to start something because they see an opportunity. And therefore, we want you to be educated, because an educated person is always going to be better than a person who is not educated. And therefore, I just pray that as we go into the next couple of minutes and start the business summit, in terms of talking about the actual practical business activities that we can engage in, or how we should engage in these principles, then we will be able to get more people surviving this, and the church can be better. Note this also, that this is not just for the church members. So you have families and friends, send them the link, invite them to just tune in, to come on. Right now, we are thankful that we have Bless TV fully on board with my friend Colonel Latti, and we have NCU TV, and I understand that NCU Radio might also be on. We have Jamaica Adventist Online. We have the West Conference platform here, and of course, our host platform that is being manned by one man right now with many angels, and that is the East chapter, the East Conference. And so we at the Jamaica Union are very, very pleased, and we look forward to engaging the wider congregation and audience and your friends and the world, because this is on YouTube. And so the information will be available not only on private network, but it will be public out there. And so a lot of people can benefit. And we're looking at growing the church and its people and its businesses. And so we can just do a wonderful job to occupy and finish the work. So God can come quickly and we can go home.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So the song says, my God is awesome and he can move mountains. Keep me in the valley. He hides me from the rain. Come on, somebody declare it right now. My God is awesome. He heals me when I'm broken. Strength where I've been weak. Forever he will reign. Say, my God is awesome and he can move mountains. Somebody say, keep me. Keep me in the valley. He's gonna hide me from the rain. My God is awesome. Say, heals me. Heals me when I'm broken. Somebody say strength. Where I've been weak. Forever he will reign. Let me hear God's people know. My God is awesome. What an awesome God we serve. Awesome. What a mighty God we serve. Awesome. What a great big God we serve. Awesome. Say, my God is awesome.
Today I am forgiven. Somebody say His grace. Somebody just praise His holy name. My God is awesome. What an awesome God we serve. Awesome. What a mighty God we serve. Awesome. What a great big God we serve. Awesome. How many know? Declare, say that He's a mighty. Say He's a mighty. Say He's a mighty. He's mighty. Everybody say. Everybody sing He's awesome. Can I declare it to you right now? Say He's holy. Say He's holy. He's holy. He's holy. Everybody say awesome. Yes, you are God. Awesome. Can I give a witness right now? Say He's great. He's great. He's great. He's great. Say He's great. He's great. He's great. Come on and sing it now. Yes, you are God. I don't know about you, but guess what? My deliverer, 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 my deliverer. Everybody say, yes, you are God. Come on right now. My provider, provider, provider. Yes, you are. What an awesome God we serve. Come on, listen to me. My protector, protector, protector. Yes, my God is. Yes, you are God. Come on, lift those hands right now. My God is. He can move mountains. Keeps me in the valley. Hide me from nobody like you, Lord. My God is awesome. Heal me when I'm weak. He is my strength. Where I've been. Come on now. Praise His holy name. Yes, He is. Yes, He is awesome. Not only is He awesome, not only is He great, but guess what? He's my eternal daddy. And no matter what comes, no matter what may be, I still have a Father who can go to in these times. So we're going to sing Eternal Daddy for our final song. Yeah, we're ready to sing to the King of Kings, my daddy. Come on, everybody, let me see you. You are the God who never fails. Made me the head and not the tail. Lord, you answer when I call. You are the greatest friend of all. Come on, everybody, rock like this. You are the God who never fails. Made me the head and not the tail. Lord, you answer when I call. You are the greatest friend of all. Say, God of peace, God of love, the one who reigns from above. Alpha, Omega, my King, you made everything. Oh Lord, when you speak, things are done. And when you move, demons run, and no one can stand in your way. Eternal Daddy, you gave me many victories, fought many battles just for me. Lord, you took me by the hand, placed me on a rock for me to stand. Say, you gave me many victories, fought many battles just for me. Lord, you took me by the hand, placed me on a rock for me to stand. Say, God of peace, God of love, the one who reigns from above. Alpha, Omega, my King, you made everything. Oh Lord, when you speak, things are done. And when you move, demons run, and no one Everybody, everybody, come on. Eternal Daddy. Say, eternal Daddy. Oh Lord, eternal Daddy. Say, eternal Daddy. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Eternal Daddy. Say, eternal Daddy.
Good evening again, everyone. We welcome everybody to the upcoming business segment of the Business Forum to Climax or Day Service. However, there is something that I need to respond to. There are a number of questions that have been coming through on our YouTube channel and into the other platforms. And one significant one is asking, how can one become a member of ASI? That's an interesting question. An ASI member, you can access all the information from the 5 chapters in Jamaica. You can also go on our website. We have a website that is up, the JAMU website, ASI, and the East Jamaica chapter and other chapters do have their websites. And you can go on, you can download the form. Now, who qualifies to be an ASI member? Anyone that is involved in a profession and you are in good and regular standing in your church, upholding the standards of the church, you can become a member of ASI. So if you're a lawyer, if you're a dentist, a doctor, a carpenter, an artisan, if you are a chef, any registered company that is in good and regular standing with government laws, you can become a member. You can become an individual member or you can become a business member. It's a fee-based society. Let's say society, not society. It's a group. So therefore, what you'll have to do, my apologies, is you make the application. You'll be given all the information. The form will be signed and endorsed by your pastor. It would be submitted to the chapter which you reside in. So if you're domiciled in Central, then you will take it to the Central Jamaica chapter and you'll make that application there. You do the similar thing if you are in the East, the West, the North, or the Northeast. And your application will be processed and we'll get back to you. The fee structure would be given to you based on where you classify, and then you'll pay your fee and you'll be inducted into a ceremony and you become a full-fledged ASI member. Also, it's important to note that any member that is employed to the church organization directly, being paid through a conference, cannot become a member of ASI. So here's what you do. Send your application in. Speak with anyone in your church. We do have some church representatives in the several churches, and you can send the information in. We will validate and we'll get back to you, and then you can become a full-fledged ASI member. It's easy, 1, 2, 3, and we're in. So please send in that application. We will ensure that we get back to you and inform you exactly when we will induct you in being a member of ASI. I sincerely hope that I have answered your question, and we'll be looking forward to getting those applications coming in. Thank you very much for the question. So we are now at the stage where we move right into our ASI Business Forum. We dealt with the spiritual aspect during the course of the day, and now we are going into the business area of the day. We know that COVID-19 has caused a seismic shift in how businesses operate, not only here in Jamaica, but throughout the world. We see that businesses have crumbled. We see where families have been impacted. We see where people have been displaced. we see where economies, large, small, and even more, have taken a direct hit. Now, what do we do? As Christians, we can't roll over and die. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Elder Cecil Foster, the President of the Jamaica Union, who will now bring on, in a few minutes, Elder Nigel Coker, moderator for the evening, who will introduce the panelists appropriately and engage us further into a very interesting and engaging conversation. I now turn over to you, Elder Foster.
Thank you, Vice President Lawson, Yvonne, and your team. I must say that you have done with Tavia and all the others before a sterling job today. In fact, it was not only today, Pastor Smith, but leading up to today, they have done a sterling job, and we must commend the team for that, and we appreciate you and all the presidents from all the chapters and all the coordinators from all the chapters and all of the executives and members of ASI in Jamaica. And we also welcome those who are in the Caribbean and elsewhere. So we want to say thank you. And we look forward now to having lively and fundamental discussions on ways we can survive the seas, the rough seas that COVID has brought to our shores, not only in Jamaica, but on a globe. It is unbelievable that at this time, the globe is affected this kind of a way. There's no country that is really left out. Of course, New Zealand is managing it very well, but we are here now tonight, and we have our union communications director, Mr. Nigel Coke. He is the union communications director and also religious liberty director of the Jamaica Union of Seventh-day Adventists. He's also a financial guru. He sits on committees of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and he is one of those investors that a lot of people will call savvy, and many people go to for information when they want to find where to invest. So now that Gavin knows where to go to, who to talk to, I guess you can listen for a call, Sir Nigel Coke. And so I invite Nigel Coke to come. You know, people, I don't like to say that last name, but I mean, I have to say it because he's my friend and I want him to feel, anyway, Sister Marlene. But I invite Nigel to lead us into this discussion, and we know it is going to be great. Nigel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cecil Foster, and good evening, everyone viewing and listening to this, the ASI Business Summit 2021. We have been waiting a long time for this moment to arrive, as we are all eager to find out how we navigate, how can we survive during this present pandemic. The pandemic, of course, was brought on by something that no one wished to talk about. Cecil spoke about a name he doesn't like to call, but then we would like to see the name COVID-19 disappear.
Yes, too.
COVID pandemic has created turbulence in the world, and there's no single industry that has been spared. The world has experienced unprecedented financial shocks that have impacted all businesses, some positively, others negatively. Many were even forced to close their shutters permanently. ASI Business Summit 2021 will seek to awaken an awareness of the innovative ways that businesses and individuals can employ to remain viable, face the financial headwinds and disruptions, and grow, access capital, using the various proven methods, and prepare for sustainability after COVID-19. It is our hope that through our theme, How to Survive the Rough Financial Seas of COVID-19, you, our audience of business professionals, small, medium, and large business owners, entrepreneurs, and those aspiring to become part of the local and global business community, will be able to navigate the choppy seas of this environment where it is not business as usual, but indeed business unusual. We will be streaming on various main and social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, etc., through all our conferences in the East, West, North, Northeast, and Central parts of Jamaica. And we are also broadcasting live on NCU Radio, NCU TV, and of course, Bless TV. Welcome again. This evening we have a very distinguished panelist of 4 persons that will be engaging our minds as we think about all things financial and all things business. We have Dr. David Walcott, a medical doctor and an entrepreneur who has had in his young age and stage vast amount of experience, and he will lend it to us, and I will introduce him more before I ask the question to him. Then also we have Mrs. Marlene Street Forrest, who is no stranger to us. She is the managing director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and has been there for a good while, I think over 20 years now. And she will bring all of that experience to tell us what to do. She has been in the COVID-19 seas for a while, and she will explain how we can get out of it. Then we have Mr. Cecil Foster. He again, no stranger to us. His main claim to fame is Fosrich Jamaica Limited, that lighting and electrical product company that we all know and we cannot forget. Then we have Mr. Trace Gale, who is a marketing and sales professional with approximately 16 years across industry, and he's from the Victoria Mutual Building Society, and he will tell us the type of investments we need to be involved in so that we can survive all the challenges we face financially in Jamaica at this time. Welcome again, panelists. My first panelist that I will put a question to is Dr. David Walcott. And let me just introduce him properly to you. Dr. David Walcott is an entrepreneur with over 8 years experience as a founder, operator, and consultant to several healthcare businesses. Professionally, he's committed to attracting world-class healthcare resources into emerging markets as founder of NovaMed, a healthcare consulting firm that actions best practices and global insights through portfolio companies spanning healthcare services, strategy consulting, and medical education, with a recognition by Forbes, World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and the IMF. He is founding partner of the Visionaries Summit, an opportunity exchange platform convening a community controlling US 140 billion in equity, and has worked with several governments in the Caribbean on COVID initiatives. He has extensive experience working with multilateral organizations and is currently the co-chair of the COVID-19 World Economic Forum, the GSE. He is the co-chair of that steering committee. He's a member of the WEF Global Future Council, and his academic profiles include Oxford, INSEAD, and Harvard. Dr. Walcott has been named a young global leader by the World Economic Forum. He is among 112 persons selected for 2021, the class of YGLS from all across the world. And according to the WEF, they are the world's most promising leaders under the age of 40. He is the only Caribbean person that has been appointed this year and is the youngest and first Jamaican male to be appointed to this global network of leaders. The WEF Young Global Leaders make up an interdisciplinary community of exceptional people with vision, courage, and influence to drive positive change in the world. It includes high achievers and innovators in politics, business, academia, media, and the arts. Famous YGL leaders from the past include Jacinda Ardern, the 40th Prime Minister of New Zealand, Sergey Brin, founder of Google, Leonardo DiCaprio, Academic Award actor, Sanna Marin, Prime Minister of Finland and the youngest female state leader, and Jack Ma, I'm sure we all know him, founder of Alibaba, and Alicia Garza, a co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement. Wow. Welcome, Dr. Walcott, to this platform. We are indeed happy to have you sharing with us. And if I may, it is saying under 40, Dr. Walcott is just 31 years old, and we appreciate his presence here. Dr. Walcott, the first question I'll ask is, what are some of the areas of economic growth that you have recognized for countries in Latin America and the Caribbean?
Thank you very much, Nigel, both for the microphone and for such an elaborate introduction. Undeservedly, but I'll take it. And good evening to everybody here. You know, I think that the Caribbean has for a long time been relatively reactive in how we've perceived growth. We're a nation with many problems to be solved, and the typical response to those problems is to solve them when they, you know, have gotten to a certain critical mass such that they influence a broad spectrum of individuals, which lends itself to, you know, typically late stage innovation. And so I think we need to take a step back, look at some of the neighboring regions that have managed to solve historical problems in innovative ways, especially if these neighboring regions have similar socioeconomic characteristics as you know, Anglophone Caribbean countries. Many of the Latin American countries, for example, have similar problems, you know, I'll say, like the Caribbean, as many countries in continental Africa. And yet in many ways we pursue development in the typical sort of North American paradigms. And so with that being said, I think there's a general shift in perspective whereby we're looking to learn from our nearest neighbors. To answer your question directly now, where I see the areas most ripe for growth are naturally healthcare, which is why I've sort of you know, committed myself professionally to pursuing development in that space. If you think about the level of sophistication of healthcare within both the Caribbean and Latin America, the industry and the sub-industries simply aren't as sophisticated as they could be, right? If you look at Europe, if you look at the USA. And an example I'll give you, which is relevant to you know, Marlene on this panel with the JSC, is there are few healthcare, you know, publicly traded companies. And the most sophisticated businesses in healthcare tend to be distribution or retail businesses, as opposed to sort of highly functioning hospitals. And so there's an industry sophistication that is inevitable, which creates the space for growth. And I think this paradigm is replicated in many other sectors. I think the financial sector has a very broad scope for growth. And I think one of the key pillars cross-cutting all of these industries is really technology and automation. So to sort of sum up my perspectives, one, I think we should, in addition to looking to our purely northern neighbors, look horizontally and look for innovation in Latin America and continental Africa. Two, look into sectors such as healthcare, the financial services space. I think there's innovation to be also seen in consumer goods. And three, technology will be a key cross-cutting pillar common to innovation within each of these industries.
Thank you very much. And which leads me into the second question. Thanks for helping me there. What are the emerging trends in technology and innovation that can help small, medium, and large enterprises survive during the current economic crisis? Like, artificial intelligence, things like that. What are the trends that are out there that could help businesses to grow even faster?
Well, the trends are numerous. What I'll do is I'll share a sort of a categorized perspective. If you think about the era in which we are, which some term the fourth industrial revolution, yes. It really represents a paradigm shift in the level of efficiency with which processes can be executed, right? In the first industrial revolution, in the 1700s, there was the steam engine, and which provided power to drive scales of operations that were never before seen. And then you had, electricity, creating mass production, and then you had computing power with the third industrial revolution. And the fourth is really a unification of several different, I would say, innovations that have been taking place in different spaces that are increasingly fusing towards one. And so, to answer your direct question, what do these innovations look like? There are physical innovations, brought about by automation, autonomous vehicles, etc. 3D printing is another physical innovation. And actually I have a 3D printed medical specimen somewhere around the place I'd show you, but it's now increasingly possible to print, 3D biomaterial, 3D car parts as well. There's advanced robotics that use advanced sensor technology. And of course, there have been lots of innovations made in material science to create lighter, stronger, more recyclable, adaptive materials. So that's the in the physical sense. And then there's the digital sense, where you have trends such as the, what we call IoT, the Internet of Things, which really refers to a relationship between different devices that allow for the seamless navigation of some process. Something as simple as your phone connecting to your headphones is the Internet of Things on a very small scale. Then you have blockchain technologies for sort of securitizing and standardizing and storing data really based on digitally created trust. And then of course you have biological innovations, right? One of the latest of which is Neuralink, built by Elon Musk, which is sort of tried to fuse digital signals with brain signals. So there are all these innovative mega trends that are taking place. I think the key lesson for us as a region is not to necessarily pursue the trends of luxury, but there are certain trends of pragmatism that can increase the levels of efficiency of our business, most of which are centered around automation. And if you allow for the economic value of automation to be reaped in your business, it, one, allows for increased efficiency. Two, it allows for employees who are doing tasks that are below their level of training or their level of licensing to increase the level at which they operate, and of course, create value for your organization in the process. So I would say the biggest sort of lesson for us to learn is centered around automation.
Thank you very much for that. I will come back to you with another question, but I want to bring in now Mrs. Marlene Street Forrest. And Mrs. Street Forrest is the Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Director of both its subsidiaries. Her mandate is to continue the process of developing the JSE Group, and particularly the exchange, in an atmosphere of transparency and fairness while utilizing appropriate technology in providing the greatest possible efficiencies to the market. She has a wealth of experience having worked in senior managing position at various private, public sector organizations right here in Jamaica and overseas. It is under her stewardship that the JSE became demutualized and the US denominated market and the junior market were launched. She also spearheaded the registrar division of the Jamaica Central Depository when she served as general manager for that subsidiary. In 2016, she was conferred with the honor of the Order of Distinction, rank of Commander for outstanding leadership in the growth of the stock exchange. And may I say that we have seen how the stock exchange has grown. It is global, was recognized internationally as a stock exchange of the year twice. So Mrs. Marlene Street, with over 20 years there, has brought it a long way and is no doubt, very, very eligible to share with us some of those experiences as we navigate these choppy seas of COVID-19. Mrs. Street Forrest, welcome. How has the stock exchange fared or survived during COVID-19?
Thank you, Nigel, for that question. The stock exchange is a barometer of the overall economy. So naturally, the stock exchange has seen some amount of fall off from the buoyancy that it had in 2019. So 2020, with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the investors responded to the uncertainties in the marketplace. Because as you know, the stock exchange is comprised of businesses. We have over 120 securities listed, and people would invest in these expecting a certain type of return. Businesses would be impacted based on the COVID-19 rough seas, and people would also think that businesses would be impacted. So we have had situations where persons would be running for cover, thinking that the price of the shares would be going down, the businesses would not be doing as well. So overall, we had, based on the markets that we have had, and in average about 23% fall off when you measure the business as it relates to an index. An index really tells you how the market performs based on the price of the stock and the share, the number of shares. So you would have seen that within the year 2020, that some of these prices of the shares in companies would have gone down. Actually, we had some 20, the advanced decline ratio was about 20 to 80, meaning 80 companies, the price declined, and 20 advanced. The others remained pretty much stable. It's not unusual that this happens. Other markets also did not do as well, because of the pandemic. In our market, we also have young investors, and where people are just beginning to come to market, the response would be quite reactive. However, as the months progress, what we have seen is where the businesses have pivoted, the businesses have looked at what else am I supposed to be doing in this COVID period. There is a renewed confidence that has come to market. So you will see that in 2021, as we speak, at the end of March, the markets have become a little bit more stable, where the main market has increased marginally, 1%, but the junior market has significantly increased. And that is because of the alacrity, the sort of agility that those junior market companies have displayed. So in total, we will see that the uncertainties are now baked into the price of many of the companies that are in the market, and that the market will gradually, as there is certainty in vaccine, and certainty in how to deal with the pandemic, you will see that the market will take its time to improve as we go along. But I want to make a point in terms of market performance, as you have asked. Despite the fact that we had the market itself showing that decline, you would have seen that many companies took the opportunity to raise capital. I want to underscore that because I want to come back to that there are still opportunities in the market. It is important to look at what type of capital should I raise in a time when there is a pandemic. How do I raise that capital? Is there still confidence in the market that I can raise that capital? And we have seen that capital raised in 2020 was almost the same as the level raised in 2019. And we have seen that from January to March, the capital that has been raised in the market is $11 billion, which is almost, for 3 months, almost the same as was raised last year, where we raised 14 million for the entire year, and the year before, where we raised 19 million. So there is very much still the positive wind in the market, which as ASI members, as business people, we need to look at to take advantage of.
Good. How easy it is to raise these capital on the JSC?
Nigel, I want to answer that in a most transparent way, as we normally see at the stock exchange. It depends. It all depends on how businesses have streamlined themselves. Remember, when you are raising capital, and especially equity capital, you are coming to a market and saying, look, this is what I have to offer. This is what I have to offer. The investors are going to be saying to you, tell me more about your company. Tell me about your board of directors. Can I look at your financial statements and see how I can analyze these? And many of the times, what we find is that those are not ready. But in the event, in a direct answer to your question, the company has its audited financial statements in place. If they have been in business for over 5 years, 5 years audited financial. They have a good board of directors. Their audit committee is well established. The audit committee is well established. And these information are readily available to the investor. Then it is that they have now a set of documents that they can present. They can put this, register their company as a register the securities. And also they can now go to the FSC, which is one of the areas that they must go to the stock exchange for review, and to a broker, which is necessary, and offer those securities to the market. We're seeing companies that have come and raised capital in the market in under 6 months. But what we have found mainly is that companies will be doing what they have to do in order to survive, but fail to ensure that there is governance in their company, which as a result of that takes a little longer for them to come to market. But it is fairly, the steps, we have a checklist, and the steps are fairly easy for companies to not only raise initially, but come back to market. And that's an important issue, that when companies have listed their businesses on the market, they now have a captive investors. They can go back to market to raise more capital because their businesses naturally grow. I have, as you say, Nigel, I've been at the exchange for just a little over 20 years. And what we have found is that those companies that have taken advantage of the market, one, not only by raising initial capital, the IPOs, but that they have gone back, whether it is preference shares, whether it is bond, because we have a bond market as well, you know, so in other ways, whether it is through a rights issue, and the flavor of the day, and APO, then you will find that those companies tend to grow, to expand, and this is what we want to see in a market, and which really redounds to the benefit of the company itself, of the investor, and of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Street Forest. What about startup companies?
Startup companies are always welcome at the exchange. Obviously, one would say, can a startup raise capital? We have had startups that have raised capital on the market. We normally quote Deering, Bunting and Golding, which sold to Scotia some time ago. That was a startup. And we have had a few other startups on the market. A credible business plan, a credible path for that company to operate, and a credible financial statement, you know, in terms of projection, can lend itself to a company coming to market and raising capital. I want to emphasize too that when people look at parting with their monies, they look at the board. They look at what is the composition of that board. Will that board be able to, in terms of governance, steer that company? If it is a startup or otherwise, but let us speak to startup. Will that be able to steer that company to profitability? And when you look at those things, that is what an investor wants to see in order to decide whether it is that they are going to invest in a startup, a company that is already there, a growth company, or a mature company.
Okay. Would you say it's worth the cost to get to that level? I mean, for persons who might be viewing, listening, there are some costs involved in listing, the whole legal costs. I'm sure the stock exchange has some costs. Do you think the cost is worth it to go to market? Because I know you will say it depends on the company and how much they're raising, but there are some costs involved.
Yes, and I'm not going to say it depends this time. I'm going to say generally, and that in most cases we have seen that it is worth the cost. I thought that you might ask about whether the company can afford, because some of the times that's what we have, where a company will say, oh my goodness, I cannot afford that cost at this time. So let me wait until I get a little bigger. But there is flexibility in terms of coming to market. What we have found is that, let us use the three major costs, is that of, as you say, legal, the broker cost, and also the accounting cost. And what we have seen, because there is a commitment to grow the market, to grow the economy, we have found that those three bodies have now been working alongside the companies that want to come to market. You know, once they see that it is a good proposition, you will find that the broker member works with that company in terms of cost, either, and I'm not talking about any in particular, but either in terms of making an investment, in terms of buying some of those shares. The legal persons will say, look, part of that payment, do that after you have raised the capital. So there are many different permutations and combinations that will allow companies to live. Pardon?
It's part of the payment. Some will take
part of the payment, yes.
The shares as part.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for those responses. I'm sure the listening audience, viewing audience would have benefited, and I'm sure maybe there are some young ASI prospects out there, or any young entrepreneur, or anyone who would want to be listed on the stock exchange. It has a whole lot of positives.
Yes.
And the next person that I'll introduce can even start by telling us the positives that it has made to his listing on the stock exchange. And he's Cecil Foster, who is a passionate lead and visionary, a husband, father, football enthusiast. He is also a philanthropist. He's co-founder of the Good Samaritan Inn, which is a feeding program that provides meals 3 times per week for approximately 600 persons. And also, he is a member of the King's House Foundation Board of Governors, and he is the president of the Adventist Laypersons Services and Industry, and a member of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica. This is because we know Cecil is the CEO, founder, everything of Fosrich. Mr. Foster, welcome to the program once again. And my first question to you is, as CEO of Fosrich, how have you been able to pivot in this COVID-19 environment and ensuring that your company delivers good shareholder value?
You know, it's a very good question that you have. And it's so nice to be coming after Marlene and Dr. Walcott. So I get to, talk about the actual underground activities. Now, Fosrich, it is a strange thing, but I'm going to say it. We just had to get better at doing what we were doing before. We had put all the plans in place 2019. We were never more ready for 2020 than we were in 2019. We were ready. We had everything lined up, supply chain, and all of the projects that we were looking at lined up, and we know where we were going. And so when 2020 hit, March and so on, we didn't have to do much pivoting. What we doubled down on was the qualitative part of our offering. We decided that two things happen when people are afraid. People run away, and sometimes the second one, they run to somebody. And so we set our sight to be the company that would be there so people would run to us. Being able to affect the market positively with our offerings, because as I said, we were very much ready with our supply chain and with our team knowing their targets and what their weekly plans and goals and so on were. We were just ready to move with them. So we just got better and have everybody spending more time understanding what our customers on the ground were facing, and so on. I can speak to this because a lot of the customers were now wondering if this fallout would have affected their bottom line. And so, as you know, credit therefore was also going to be something that they need more latitude with. And so all of that was looked, and we looked at 380 customers immediately and had conversations with them and made it easier for them based on the principles that we saw that they were exhibiting in their business. We did all of that to help them to stay the ship. I know a lot of people got hit April last year because of the shutdown for 2 weeks in the largest business sector of the country, which is really St. Catherine. And so we came out of the first quarter literally flat, second quarter with a bump, and thereafter we did, I think, exceptionally well because of the strategies that we used earlier on in the year. It was also important for us to note that we were amazed to see how God worked, because the supply chain from the Far East, which many of us use, became a challenge for a lot of people. While that was a challenge for a lot of people, it never affected not even one of our shipments, because things were in train from December, January for first quarter into second quarter. And so that was a blessing. And that blessing came about because of planning, organizing, forecasting, and then all we had to do was to execute. And so it gave us an opportunity to execute on the qualitative side of our business in a great way, and sustain ourselves through the first quarter and second quarter of 2020.
Well, how you got through because I mean you're selling some products here. How did you get around the curfews and the various guidelines put in place by the government, based on the fact that your business would have been catering to, say, construction people, home builders, persons like that? How did you navigate the restrictions that were put in place?
Our plan leading up to 2020, our plan was always to use our footprint across Jamaica. As you know, we are spread across Jamaica. We are the only company in our business segment that is able to reach any part of Jamaica within an hour and a half, roughly. We are in Montego Bay, 2 places in Montego Bay, and we are in Mandeville, and we are in Kingston. And therefore, what we did was to use these locations as business hubs. The Montego Bay location was already a business hub, but we made it more, elaborate in that sense. And so we could get to the customers faster, and they could come to us also in a shorter space of time. We also, in moving around with our people, the government recognized that some sectors would need something like a pass. And so that's where our drivers and some of our representatives had their pass, and they would be able to move around. When it was the 2 weeks lockdown in April last year, that was the toughest time. Because a lot of people who work with us are from St. Catherine, and so that area most of the people had to work from home. In fact, we quickly went into the mode of our work from home policy. So at one time, the people at head office, we had close to a third of our people at head office working from home. And you know what that entails, putting in the infrastructure in order to get them working from home and so on. And so we did navigate by managing to put the infrastructure in place for people to work from home and also for customers to benefit from our services at the various locations, which became solid hubs and where people could benefit from.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Another question. What would you say to companies that are currently facing financial challenges right now? Because I know your business, basically, you'd have to deal with a lot of, receivables, and you have to manage your cash flow in a very appropriate way. And so challenges can come about. But what would you say to companies like yourself and companies in general that might be having some challenges with their finances?
It is always a tough thing when you do business, because it's a collective body of ideas or things or people who come together and make things work, sometimes without knowing so. And so when different people are feeling, fearful or uncertain and so on, it causes a kind of confusion in the market. And therefore, you need to have a steady way of looking at your way forward in order for you to get what you want to get done. Say that to say this. You need funds. And so this is why I said earlier on, we stayed very close to our customers. So while we probably gave them more latitude, as the banks did, by giving people moratorium, we gave them a little bit more latitude, which means they would credit more. We had a stronger connection to them. In fact, in that period, we ended up literally doubling our sales force. It was one of the amazing, ironic, people were saying, why were you hiring representatives? And we said, the reason for doing so was because we want to break down the jurisdiction of these present representatives and let it be smaller. And so we infuse new people in the business, and we got a chance now to stay closer to the customers, and I think it has paid benefit. I don't know where that idea came from, but maybe it was an inspiration from Marilyn in one conversation, but that's what we did. It is difficult. You can look for your inventory. If you have good and strong inventory and you want to liquidate it to get cash, you want to go to your bank, or on the bigger scale, you can go and look to see how you can finance your business through an IPO on the stock market. And you just spoke to Marilyn a while ago about the going there, what it takes, and so on. I think, and I must say this, Ms. Marilyn, that I think this is one of the substantial reasons why we have reached where we have reached, is because we have a lot more opportunity for funds to do what we want to do. And so that conversation that you had with me in 2017 at the Economic Forum, I always remind you about it, that I laughed at you and said I would never do it. And by September, we were almost ready to go public. I'm saying, so that's a route that can take you somewhere. And why we would say people, you can look at the going public, if that is what you want to do. There are hurdles that you have to cross in your own self. You have to be careful to make sure that this is what you want. it is going to do good for you, but you have to understand that you're going to be more professional, you're going to be more open, and you're going to eventually have more funds to do what you want to do. Even though I will caution you, having more money is not good for a lot of businesses. What you need to have is great management, and you can take the little that you have and do great with it. And I would say at this time, a lot of people should not just want to just say they need more money. They're there to look at what they are doing and see how they could do it better, how they could be more efficient by using some of what Dr. spoke about earlier on. Technologies are there, and things like those to make sure that you do not run above and beyond what your cash needs are.
Thank you. And I hinted to you, and I just wanted to do two of them, because if persons would want to list and to get some capital, what are some of the benefits of listing? I'm not putting this one to Mrs. Street Forest, but to you. You have benefited from this a whole lot, and you have done, you have grown, and maybe even looking to go back again. So give me three benefits of listing on the stock market?
One, I would say, Nigel, and to everybody, your governance system is now stepped up, because while Fosrich operated for a long while, for the last 10 years before we listed, with a monthly financial statements, and we operated a particular way. Now you have people who are truly responsible as different committee members, governance committee members, and chair, and audit and risk committee members and chair. And so your governance of your business is now a lot better than before. And of course, you are going to the market because you have a plan for selling a part of your company. And in selling a part of your company, you would have a plan for the use of that funds. And so that now will help you to achieve your goals by going out there and using the funds in that kind of a way. So those are two ways. And also, there are things that happen. You are out there in the public. People see you. People, your company, you're out there. People see you, and you are always being marketed, because the stock market information is always public, and so you can reduce your marketing budget. So your cost, while your cost immediately to go to the market might be a little bit heavy, but as you move into the listing process and start operating as a publicly listed company, you can save on a lot of cost on marketing and promotion and so on, because you have the
daily reports that comes on Raymond TV, and they call your name, and your name is called every minute, and so you become more visible. People know what you're about. When your financial reports are out, it is normally published. Some people will report on it. Your business become more transparent. Everything like that. It's really all good. Thank you very much, Cecil, for sharing with us. I still have another question for you, but I have to move on, and then we come back. And Dr. Walcott, we have other questions for you. I have Dr. Edwin Tolorito, who I'm sure would want to ask your question. So stay tuned as we move on to our next panelist, who is Mr. Trace Gale. And Trace Gale is a marketing and sales professional with approximately 16 years across industry experience. His experiences span within hospitality, telecommunication, banking, and finance. He was a Bachelor of Science degree in Tourism Management from the University of the West Indies, Nassau, Bahamas. He joined Victoria Mutual Wealth's team in April 2019. In his role, he has been a guide for corporations and individuals alike, helping to create and maximize on the best solution for them. I'm sure individuals would love to hear how they can make some extra money here. But my first question to you, Trace, and welcome once again. What are some of the areas of investment that individuals can utilize in order to survive the disruptions caused by COVID-19?
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
It would be easy for me to list out a myriad of areas where you can make some money in this trying time. However, when we talk about investment, it is individually, it is based on the individual. So there are some things that we need to consider. We have to consider the person's goals, their objectives really. We have to consider what timeline they have to make this money. And we also have to consider what kind of risk appetite they have. So, because investment is not typically a one-shoe-fit-all thing. It depends on the person, and that is the kind of response when it comes to investment. But what I can give you though is a general response to your question, which is what is needed for the forum, really. But just wanted to point out that, I mean, should anybody want, I mean, any other persons on the presentation or the summit, they can reach out. They can reach out and we can speak individually and see what's best for them. But what's doing good right now? We know that the stock market is on a rebound. It has been doing fairly well, and I say fairly well based on how it has performed over time. We have several, as you can see, there has been, I mean, mentioned earlier by the esteemed Miss Marlene, that we have several APOs and IPOs that have been listed earlier on this year, from December into this year, and it has shown tremendous growth. All of them, I think pretty much all of them closed before the date. So that has shown that there is tremendous opportunities there. What we want to point out though to our clients is that we want you to be informed before making a decision. So it's the stock market is generally not for everybody. It's a volatile space and it's driven by confidence. So what happened, the effect of the pandemic was mainly because of fear rather than the pandemic itself. So people were running to the stock market to liquidate because of fear of the market crashing. You understand? And as Mrs. Streetfar has pointed out, we had young investors, so they typically did not quite understand how it works. So they were running for cover. You understand? And so that is what happened with the stock market. So it's on a rebound now with the APOs. People are, but before I even move on, what we should understand is that what happens in the stock market is a buy and sell. So somebody has to buy when you're selling. So if you're trying to escape the market, somebody's buying. Why are those persons buying? You understand? It's something to consider. So there are savvy investors out there. So when you are getting scared, they are saying, "Whoa, this is an opportunity." You understand? So when you're selling, they're buying for cheap and stocking up, because guess what? Like everything else, we've had several financial crises before I was born in, and some I experienced, especially I think the last one was 2008. We survived, we came out, and we won 2 first place, the stock market that is, overall best performing stock market. So we've done it before and we will do it again. So that is just to point out, guess what? It is not all doom and gloom. You understand? So the stock market is still an opportune place, but if you want to make money right now, ensure that you're speaking to your advisors and get researched information on what stocks or companies to invest in right this minute. You understand? It seems like you have a question coming, Mr.
No, go ahead, because yes, I have more for you. But
not a problem. Not a problem. All right. So the stock market is still doing well. Another area that is doing well is real estate. How well it's doing depend on is a matter of perspective. So we look at individuals and companies alike. So there are some individuals that are a little bit apprehensive on whether or not they're selling their properties because they don't know if they'll be able to get back the property that they'll want to buy. You understand, based on how the market is going. There are some that are very apprehensive in committing to a long-term investment right now with fear of losing their jobs and stuff like that. But guess what? Those are some. Mortgages haven't slowed down since 2020, predominantly for VM. You understand? As a matter of fact, we have exceeded our targets in those areas for 2020, and we are still on track for 2021. You understand? So there are still people who are investing in real estate. I'm sure if you look around, you would realize that there are several developments going up. Some of them have already been sold out. You understand? And this is based on the new phenomenon out there of bed and breakfasts. So we're not getting the guests, but there are people and companies who are stocking up, waiting for this pandemic to finish. So not everybody is running and hiding.
Okay, I read recently where the Bank of Jamaica, in their research and survey that they did, they said there's not a bubble right now in the real estate market. However, they are a bit cautious about a couple of years ahead, maybe 3 to 5 years ahead. And so my question to you is that, do you believe in the real estate market is agile enough and good enough to sustain the current economic challenges? So yes, you just mentioned the fact that they're stocking up for when we are out of it, but how sustainable is it? I mean, there's demand and there's supply. And the supply and demand is going to decide if the market stays where it is currently or it can expand some more. The elasticity of everything here. How do you see this being sustainable? You mentioned all the developments and we have been seeing them, and let me say it's right across Jamaica. It's not just Kingston and St. Andrew. Is this sustainable given the current situation?
All right, I must say that is a concern that even myself have at times. But what I also have noticed is that we are not locally the only ones who are looking for property. So I'll point out that there are what we've seen over 2019, 2020 into 2021 is that we're having a lot of requests from our diaspora, people who at some point will be coming home. We've noticed even in 2019, prior to the US election, there were a lot of questions into what will happen in the US. And some of those concerned persons were seeking properties here and are still seeking properties to come back home. So you do have a valid point. I think while the real estate market is doing very well in Jamaica, as you know, with every investment and everything that does well, at some point the market corrects itself. But based on the fact that real estate is not a short-term investment, it's not a short-term investment. So I do believe that it will stand the test of time, because you're not buying into it today to come out tomorrow, another 5 years down the line. It's really a long-term investment. So I do believe it can stand the test of time.
All right, thank you very much. We have heard from all the panelists, and as I said before, There are some reserved questions for them. But I want to bring in Dr. Edwin Toller-Reed, someone who has been opened a business, a wellness business, and had to do some pivoting because of COVID-19. And so though he's not on the panel and he has this experience, I believe it will be worth the while to hear how he changed gear and things like that. And maybe he might have a question for Dr. Walcott, who in his discussion earlier mentioned the fact that the health sector is one of those growth sectors that are there, ripe, ready to pick like a fruit hanging down. Dr. Toller-Reed, welcome. Give us your experience.
Thank you very much, Brother Nigel. Yes, man, Calabar. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm really enjoying this program, and you know, although it's virtual, it's just as exciting as the one I attended in the pre-COVID days. But it's really, you have a really really impressive panel, Mrs. Street Forest, you know, who's been showed visionary leadership in developing our stock exchange into the powerhouse it has become. And Mr. Cecil Foster, who is, you know, without compare, you know, smooth and confident, but very cheerful and down to earth at the same time. He's the image of the kind of businessman image that I like, you know, somebody who's, you know, has a heart, you know, a blend of head and heart, a strategic leader, but he has a heart, and he hasn't forgotten his church or his spiritual roots and his values. So, you know, what he infuses into the Fosterich brand is incredible. He and his wife, you know, Marion, are quite a team. Although she tends to be more, I guess, organizing things in the, you know, from behind, and, you know, he's the face of it, but they both work incredibly well together. David is the son of one of my classmates, also from one of my colleagues also, and also one of my schoolmates. So it's quite a interesting tie-up. But I just mentioned I've been involved in healthcare, the business side of things, from building a group practice for nearly over 20 years. But now I've seen the light in terms of prevention, and sort of developed a more integrated approach in my medical practice. And with my wife, Katrine, who, although worked for World Bank and in business development, is a tremendous coach and knows absolutely a whole lot about wellness. And we decided to combine our expertise, because we discovered that a lot of it was behavioral and lifestyle related and involved mindset change. And she discovered by working with women, business women across the Caribbean, that the same issues that prevent them from scaling their businesses and from climbing the corporate ladder also affected their health and well-being, you know, health in a total. So we combined expertise and created something. We had focused at the beginning on wellness retreats, where we would have a group of people and focus on issues which had to do with their cardiovascular health and how they could, you know, reorient themselves that way. But with COVID, you know, the hotel industry, Round Hill had a contract with Round Hill to do these wellness programs. They decided to hold off on it because of the general situation. And they said, well, we'd originally thought about doing the administrative part of the program online because of the advantage of having CRMs, client management systems, which would reduce the number of employees you'd have to have, and the integrations that were possible. And the fact that you now have e-commerce available, not so easy, but you could do things online. So you remove a lot of the administrative strain and be able to do a lot. But they said, well, why don't we just take the whole program online? And so we've created online programs in wellness programs, in weight management, or initial offerings in stress management, because I see so many patients, so many people, especially in financial services, who have stress-related cardiac conditions, and also in a special program for wellness for women in particular, which is Katrine's sort of, it was near and dear to her heart. So it's changed things a lot, but it's providing new opportunities. Now I look through Google Analytics and determine that, you know, how many people have moved on the website, how long they've spent on each page, and you have a vision of the whole world. You know, the only restrictions are probably maybe time zones, but I could look at clients in Australia. I see hits on the website in Australia and India, and it may be convenient times for certain people on the other side of the world, maybe early mornings rather than evenings, but it's, you know, the world has reconfigured and there are vast opportunities. Cecil was saying that he was able to put a third of his workforce, you know, working from home right away, and he just had to put in the IT infrastructure. But you have to be able to be that flexible, and you know, I think Cecil is one of those who is really going to be the champion of this period of time, because he's really, you know, been able to adapt his company and position it, you know, and his brand is sufficiently strong, and his confidence in his brand is great. So I think, you know, I'm really happy to hear about his continued success. You know, so that's what I have to say. Anybody's comments? I'll talk to David a little more offline, because a cousin of mine who is also a healthcare entrepreneur, Ken Allen, you know, he mentioned him recently to me, so we'll talk some more.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
For that, and I'll go back to Dr. Walcott. A question: What do you see as the key economic drivers for global economic growth? Dr. Walcott.
The key drivers for global economic growth.
Yes.
I mean, I think it will come back to leveraging the tools of the fourth industrial revolution. I think it all comes back to that. And of course, the reason why it is indeed deemed a revolution is because it's transformative. And so when you look at the power of automation, when you look at the power of remote technologies, those technologies have enabled a company that, for example, owns no real estate to be the largest housing entity globally, Airbnb, or a company that technically owns no cars to be the largest transportation company, Uber. You know, I think it really speaks to the scale and potency of these technologies, and so I think that both the adoption and the development of these technologies will be, you know, strong arbiters of economic growth. One of the historic challenges with the Caribbean is that the Caribbean doesn't have much scale to offer, which is why global investors tend to not flock to the Caribbean. But I think that just like, you know, we've seen with sort of phosphorus pivoting in acknowledgement of global forces, I think us as the Caribbean, we need to realize that while we don't have scale to offer, we have more than enough intellectual capital to offer, and perhaps we should be trying to inject our value at an earlier stage in the value chain, right? I think there's a lot to be extracted from the intellectual and biological assets that the Caribbean has to offer, many of which are in, you know, biotechnology, etc. But I think one key element is going to be technology. Another key pillar, I would say, that will, again, drive economic growth is a level of agility. And why I think this is particularly important to speak to is that the world is evolving at an extremely rapid pace. I mean, we generate as much data in 2 days as has been generated or collected since the beginning of time up to the year 2000. And we're not slowing down. And so, you know, living in such a rapidly evolving world requires a level of adaptability and flexibility that unfortunately many organizations don't have. But for, you know, startups, which tend to be more agile, this really is an era where you can expect to see, you know, younger companies thriving and growing at extremely rapid scales because they're able to leverage their agility and operate in a nimble way. And so I would say, you know, just to, it's a broad question, so I have to give broad answers, but yes, I think some of the key pillars that will drive global economic growth are really, you know, innovation, technology, and agility.
Good. The IMF, in its last report, was saying that the global economy will grow by about 6%, but they were quick to say that the USA is a big part of that 6%. In fact, they're expecting the USA to grow more than the other countries of the world, and that would impact it so much that it would influence the 6%. Why would they believe that? What is it with the US that would cause this level of growth?
Well, I mean, the US is, so there are two things I mentioned earlier that are key to economic growth. There's the development of technology and there's the adoption of technology, right? And, you know, in addition to having both of these things at a pretty high scale, the US has 300 million individuals, all of whom speak the same language, which is fertile ground for consumerism, right? And the US has very specific hubs of extremely high levels of technological expertise and innovation. And so when you combine these two forces with a deeply entrenched culture of consumerism and what some people would deem as hyper-capitalism, it's the perfect engine for continued economic growth. On the flip side, you have China, which has many of these similar characteristics as the US. And so you can expect to see China occupying greater real estate in the global economy in days to come, as well as India. As continental Africa increasingly converges, which it is, you can expect to have, again, greater levels of economic growth unlocked in continental Africa, also considering that continental Africa has the largest emerging young workforce, right? And so, you know, there are many dynamics to be considered. I would surmise that the IMF is really betting on the United States to continue occupying a significant position in global economic affairs, but there really are other states and regions that will be able to see very strong levels of economic growth. I think one important thing to add to the conversation surrounding economic growth is really the conversation surrounding inequality. And so as we see greater economic growth, we're bound to see greater levels of inequality. Again, one of the, I wouldn't quite call it a disadvantage, but one of the features or characteristics of technology is it enables capitalism at an extremely broad scale, right? You know, you have companies like Amazon growing and reaching market caps we've never seen before. And you can expect to see greater levels of these rapidly growing companies that, you know, occupy as much global influence as large countries in the days to come. And if you look at most of these large companies, they're all in the United States, right? Amazon, Google, etc. And so the United States really will continue being a dominant force. The third point I'll make in response to this question is COVID has really introduced a spanner in the wheels because COVID has again created an uneven playing field, right? COVID has desecrated several economies around the world, mostly economies of emerging markets. And of course, capital is required to drive economic recuperation. One, two, vaccines are a critical instrument for economic recovery. And so for countries like, Jamaica or other tourism-dependent states, it's imperative that, we get our population vaccinated to inspire the confidence of, or typical, client segments. And so looking at the US again, to directly answer your question, Nigel, the US is vaccinating at a rate 5 times the rest of the world, right? So it's designed, the US economy and society is really designed around economic growth. And so, you can expect to see a lot more from the US in the days to come. But again, it has to be acknowledged that there are regional trends that will position other companies favorably to vie for economic influence.
Thank you very much. We're happy to have David, and he has to go quickly. So I'm just gonna ask if there's anyone on any of the panelists that might have a question for him before he goes. He's gonna go before we close, but I just want to know if there's a question for him. I see Edwin Toller-Reed raise his hand. You can go ahead, sir.
Just a quick question, David. It's a wonderful overview of opportunities in the world at the moment. I just wondered, this is a little different, but 2 things. You mentioned big data, and another colleague of mine, schoolmate, who created a company in Oslo and for business intelligence using AI, artificial intelligence. And he's launching something new and very big, which will allow you, with a single question, a verbal, I need to know how many people, what percentage of people who applied for mortgages in El Salvador in 1980 with incomes over like 30,000 US a year actually had their mortgages approved. And with a single question like that, you can get an answer in real time. That's the kind of high-level AI business intelligence, but you have this kind of thing happening, right? And then is there still a role for like inspirational leaders in the world business economy? Not the sort of dominant, Wall Street wolf type of people, but, people like Cecil, or for example, well, you may not know him, but Zeno Charles Marcel came visiting, and who's the Associate Director of Health Ministry for the General Conference, came to Andrews, had a meeting with us. And immediately he said, wellness is it. You have to do something. And then I felt that I need to align myself with this kind of vision and do something in wellness. But do you see a role for, for inspirational leadership in the new global economy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and very good question, Edwin. There are 2, well, the short answer, it's a very easy yes. I think that the paradigms and expectations of leaders are changing, and leaders are expected to not just create shareholder value, whether public or private companies, but stakeholder value at a broader level. So, naturally, companies have fiduciary responsibilities to their investors, and it's in their best interest to provide responsible service to their consumers. But I think the expectations of the globe are changing, where companies are expected to actually do well and do good at the same time. And so there are expectations that companies serve the needs of their employees. There are expectations that companies participate in corporate social responsibility. And, the list continues with the environmental, social, governance, and HR value that companies are expected to create. So I think the overall, while we have evolved into a sort of hyper capitalism-esque world, I think there is an increasing counterforce that is charging companies to adopt a certain level of broad responsibility. And we see it with several, companies that have sought to step up as private sector entities, both in Jamaica and in the global ecosystem with responding to COVID. So that's one. That's on a company scale. On an individual scale, I'll give you the best definition of a leader that I heard, and this definition was coined by the founder of the World Economic Forum, Professor Klaus Schwab. He said a leader has to have a head, a heart, and you'll appreciate this as a physician, a head, a heart, muscle, nerves, right? And each of these represented a different function of a leader. You have to have strong nerves to be able to make intelligent decisions, one. You have to have a strong stomach for being resilient in challenging times, as we've seen in COVID. You have to have strong muscles to be able to activate on these decisions and exercise, hardcore leadership in difficult times. You have to have a strong head to be able to manage, deluges of information, especially given that, the dynamics of business and the dynamics of consumerism are constantly changing and evolving. And finally, you have to have a strong heart, right? And you have to retain a certain level of humanity. And I think, again, the expectations of individual leaders are also continuing to change. And that's something that personally inspires me. And I'm sure we'll see many more of these sort of multidimensional leaders in the days to come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nigel. I do have to apologize. I have a call. The challenge with working being in Jamaica, but working really around the globe is I think it's now either 9:30 or 10:30 a.m. in Singapore. So I'm going to have to jump on another call. But again, very good to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, and I appreciate you lending your global experience to a forum like this, and we look forward to your participation with us again, because we have more ASI programs later down in the year. And I must say that with persons like you in Jamaica, I have some confidence that we are on the right footing. Young persons like you. Thank you once more for being here with us.
Thanks again, Nigel. Thank you, fellow panelists, and wishing everybody a good night. Take care.
Have a good night. And David hinted at it, and Marlene, this one is for you. Because you have a social stock exchange, yes?
Yes.
So what role does the whole infusion of the social aspect of Jamaica, of any economy, has to do with overall economic growth? You can't ignore that there are social issues that would have to be taken care of. And I realized too that each time that companies would have filed their quarterlies or annual report, they would say in it that, look, we dealt with this community, we gave this school some iPads and laptops and things like that.
tell us about how important that is for companies and for Jamaicans, because we can't just ignore it, because, you know, we have even crime as a big challenge here in Jamaica. Mrs. Street Forest.
Well, the social fabric of any country is going to depend, well, it's going to determine the economic growth of a company, of a country. Therefore, as you said, Nigel, we encourage all our listed companies, that's first, to look at corporate social responsibility. Look at the area that you operate in and wider, and to ensure that those areas are improved. You know what is the pulse within those communities and how you can assist. And at the stock exchange, we went even further. We are one of 3 social stock exchanges in the world. Brazil Stock Exchange being the first to implement a social stock exchange, because we recognize that there is an integral part of growth in Jamaica if we look at how the social impacts the economy. There is not going to be a complete growth if we ignore the fact that, as you said, there is crime, if we ignore the fact that there is poverty. And as we improve on those, we are going to improve on the persons who are going to be the purchasers, the persons who are going to reap the services of companies that are in Jamaica, not only those that are listed. So the social stock exchange is designed to do just that, to look at what are the needs, what are the projects, the major projects in Jamaica that persons can contribute to them, and for those projects to have a certain valuation, have a certain value. You can measure the performance of those programs and measure it not only from the standpoint, definitely, of the social, but how it affects the business environment. So hence we have developed the social stock exchange, which incidentally, 1 year after launching during the pandemic, we were able to assist with ventilators. We were able to assist in many of the areas, health areas, and also mainly health and education that is required to ensure that there is stability so that the business community still can function.
Very, very, very good, very good. So how can the stock exchange then on a whole be this catalyst of change to assist small, medium, and large companies and overall economic growth? How your role?
Well, Nigel, we have been speaking from this evening on the fact that the stock exchange is there to ensure that the mobilization of capital, and it is capital in any form, whether it is equity capital, it is debt capital, in any form we mobilize, but in an environment of confidence, because persons are going to be very keen to know how is it that companies are regulated, whether they are small, large, or medium size. The stock exchange is also there to lobby the government in terms of, and lobby any other, in terms of how best economic decisions can be made to assist companies. So let us not talk about the COVID now, but let us talk about even the junior market, which are the small and medium-sized companies. CESA would not have, did not say that, look, those companies are given a break in terms of taxation. If a company lists on the junior market, that company pays no corporate tax for the first 5 years. Then the other 5 years, the company just pays 50%. Now, that in itself is important to foster the growth of that company. Equity capital also assists because it's patient capital. In these times of COVID, if you were highly leveraged, meaning you have more debt than equity, what you would be looking on, despite the fact that the banks have given a reprieve, it is not a permanent reprieve. You're still going to have to pay that interest at some point in time. But equity capital provides patient capital. And it also, for the stock exchange, because of the good regulations, etc., what it does is provide a safe haven, or relatively safe haven for persons to have confidence to give that their hard-earned money to be put into companies that want it. I saw a question that came as, is it safe to invest in stocks during this time? And I really want to just take us back to just basic. Let us not look on saying it's stocks. When you're investing in a company, whether it is in Jamaica or otherwise. So is it safe to invest in this company? That's what we are asking. So what is doing the analysis, seeing what the company is doing, how the company has structured itself for growth and development. So to ask whether it's safe to invest in stock is really asking, is this a good company to invest in at this time? And why is the answer to that, based on your analysis, is yes, there's a growth path for the company. The company has shown in the past a resilience. The company has shown that it has good corporate governance, etc. Then the answer is yes, it's not at this time, but it is this a company for future growth and sustainability? So these are some of the things that the stock exchange does. One of the things that we want to emphasize, it's you do not stop at immediately raising funds on the market. The stock exchange provides that conduit for you to continue to raise funds. You see, specifically, if we use some examples, you see the JMBs, the Barritas of this world, they have expanded, and what they have done is expanded through the use of other people's money, OPM. They have looked at opportunities, they have seized those opportunities, they have used that capital for growth. And while we talk about the footprint in Jamaica is small, I just want also for us to just take that off our minds and to say we are living in a global environment. So whether Jamaica is 20 feet or 2 miles, that's not the issue. The issue is, do we have products and services that can be given and can be distributed right across the world? Because it's not where we sit, but it's what we have to offer. And whilst you are able to satisfy that world demand, it doesn't matter that you're small. It doesn't matter that you are small, but capital is king. Capital is going to be king for the Industrial Revolution, the Fourth Revolution. It is going to be king for R&D. It's going to be king for technology. You are going to need to move from where we are now and to start to say, look, what can I do? How can I revolutionize my business? I just really want us to move from the point of saying, we are in Jamaica and Jamaica is small. We just sit here. We just sit here in a small place, but the world is our oyster.
Thank you very much on that encouraging note. And I look at the time, we are running out of time. I think we have for the NCU Radio and TV to close the transmission broadcast there at 8:45, but we can go a little longer. So just to say that to our viewers, those who are listening, thank you for being there if we go up beyond that, because I just have one final question. I had one for Trace, but regarding alternative investment, but it's going to take a little amount of explaining. So what I'll do, I'll throw a question to each of the panelists that are still here. That's Mrs. Manstreet, Forrest Trace, Gail, and Cecil Foster. And my question is, how do you see the economy, Jamaican economy in the next 6 to 12 months? What are the challenges you think we should prepare for? And I'll take Cecil Foster first, then Trace, then Marlene Street Forest. How do you see the next 6 to 12 months in the Jamaican economy? And what are the challenges you think we should prepare for? And that is financially, business-wise. Mr. Foster.
I think Nigel is asking me to be a prophet. I think Marlene and Trace might be better, in this realm, but I'll make an attempt. Being a business person and being in business and looking at the market in the long term, I see great opportunities. It's an amazing time for Jamaica, I can tell you this. I'm going to be as granite as possible. I see where the hospitality sector has lost at one point over 130 to 150,000 jobs. I see a number of persons at a certain level without a job. I see where, when you look at what's happening in the global market, like the efforts in Europe and in the USA to have vaccine be given to their population, and in Canada and so on, which is those are the biggest tourist market that we have. When I look at the losses in the hospitality and the travel industry, which they said it's roughly about $9 trillion so far, I ask myself the question, where is that money? Where is that money? That money would have been spent by companies, individual travelers, and would have been consumed. If that money is not being consumed in the travel and the hospitality market, then I am predicting that that money is sitting there on people's credit cards and where in people's bank account, and therefore the likelihood of a demand surge for the services that especially Jamaica as a country is willing to offer is going to take place once there is a certain level of vaccination comfort that the major markets that serve Jamaica in this respect come up with. Once they are comfortable, you're going to see a demand that is going to surge through the roof. And therefore, even housing, there's going to be a demand for that because people want now, maybe to live somewhere else and be close to the USA and so on. I think the next 12 months is going to be, as long as we get a certain level of vaccination comfort, it's going to be a real time for opportunities for a lot of people. So I would think those young entrepreneurs out there, those businesses that are lining themselves up, look at the trend and look for what is to come. The construction, Chris talked about it. I think there's so much liquid out there and the demand for housing is so great because the pension funds, they have little or nowhere to put their money right now. And they are going to be investing in real hard products like housing and so on. And I think that's going to keep driving the demand, driving the construction. And the demand is not being met from before I was born, the demand for housing has never been met in Jamaica. And right now the government is saying that over the next 5 years or 4 years, they're going to build 70,000 houses at various levels. I think that's a far stretch. Now they're doing roughly 4,500 houses. say they do 20,000 houses, you can see it is 5 times what we normally do. So I think the demand for a lot of services and products and so on will be great going forward. And added to that, the USA, our nearest market, they are printing so much money. That money cannot be all saved. It's going to be consumed. And we have the best environment for leisure and for people interaction and for living and so on. And I think those are some of the areas that will be driving the economy to great heights in the next 6 to 12 months and beyond. And I hope that those who are listening and can pivot or can place yourself, position yourselves in a place to take these opportunities will be ahead of the game. Remember this, business is all about your head, how confident and comfortable and ready you are to take the opportunities when things are underwater. You don't have to stay underwater. You can swim to the top and make great strides to reach your goals.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tracy, time is running fast.
Unmute, Trace.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, man. Thank you very much. So from what my, I would call him my predecessor, Mr. Fosrich, said, I understand, I appreciated you starting this conversation because it is something that I had a discussion with about earlier today. Money has not left the economy. It's sitting somewhere. It is sitting somewhere awaiting that confidence to be spent. You understand? And what I'm looking at on a daily basis, I'm looking at the developments that are going up. We're looking at the waterfront being developed. We're looking at possibilities in setup, awaiting a turn in the confidence of the economy. We wonder why every we call them the major nations, the US, UK, China wants a piece of Jamaica. Those people are sitting aside, awaiting that opportunity to just run right in to come and spend some money on this little rock. I'm seeing some great things happening. You understand? I'm also appealing to whoever is watching the summit that guess what? Take advantage of what is happening right now with the opportunities out there. The prices on the shares for the companies are not going to remain. You understand? It was said by our Prime Minister one time, and I mean, while it was for something else, I will say, do not waste a good pandemic.
Okay.
It has reduced the prices for shares and put them in your field, in your ballpark for you to take advantage of it. You understand? Take advantage of these things because guess what? While you are sitting with that buck under your pillow, when the surge starts, it probably will be, while the opportunity will still be there, you would have lost out on some gains. So take advantage of it right now. Take advantage right now so you can be a part of, when it comes out on the other side, I said it earlier, nothing lasts forever other than salvation. So this too shall pass.
Thank you very much, sir. Mrs. Valley Street Forest.
I want to agree with all of what has been said. Companies have been looking at how they can broaden their horizons, diversify. They are looking at opportunities both within Jamaica and globally. So I believe that within the next year, we should see an improvement in the economy. We should see also an improvement within the market. I can see that that companies will benefit and that investors, you buy low and you reap high. And I can see that investors will benefit from the market as well. but it will be within a year time.
Thank you very much for being so economic on the time that you got, because we have to wrap up now and we have to go. And I just want to thank all the panelists for their participation and for those questions that you answered. Thank you for being here. We look forward to future engagements, and I will now just hand over to Miss is it Cecil? Is it Miss Lawson to close and to give that vote of thanks? Mrs. Yvonne Lawson, your time. Glenn would say, done. I'm done.
It is, well, we don't have Tavia with us anymore, so you can't say that. I thank you ever so much.
Glenn Samuels would say that. Glenn Samuels, I'm done.
Okay. Indeed. We have had an excellent session. We have gained immensely from the panelists who took time out at very short notice to engage us and to share excellent advice on business practices, on investment opportunities, on staying alive during this COVID period, and more importantly, to ensure that God remains the center of the focus for all our activities. He has asked us to occupy until he come. We heard Trace Gale says, do not wait until the boat leaves, and then you are regretting that you did not purchase your ticket. And so we're very thankful for that bit of advice. We also thank Dr. David Walcott for spending the time with us, for elaborating so extensively on from a world view, exactly what it is that we need to do and how we need to position ourselves. We thank panelist Cecil Foster, who encourages us always to ensure that we become richer in every aspect of our lives. We need to enrich our lives so that we can help others, we can share Christ in the marketplace. And it's very critical for us to do that. Mrs. Marlene Street Forrest, who is always so deliberate in whatever she says. She has a conviction that will allow anyone who listens to say, hey, look, I must take action immediately. Thank you ever so much, Marlene. It was good to have you here on the panel. And for all our viewers who have, so Dr. Edwin Teller, we thank you for your contribution as well. And we look forward to having you in many more panels. I'm sure you're going to be one of the panelists the next time around, but we are thankful to have had you here this afternoon. For all the individuals who stayed with us on YouTube, on the various platforms, on NCU, on Zoom, we thank you ever so much for staying with us. We hope that this forum has given you invaluable information. You have seen and you have heard where successful businessmen and women have been able to pivot during COVID and are enthusiastic to go forward. That is the type of enthusiasm as Christians that we need to possess and we need to demonstrate in our field. So Nigel Coke, our very able moderator this evening, we salute you, sir, and we thank you very much for handling the panel so well. What would we have done without a good moderator? For all the other individuals who contributed, we want to say thank you all for coming on. And we certainly look forward to the next summit and the next activity. We will have an ASI week, and you can join in. We'll make sure that we have a segment that we can field your questions and even have a business segment for you to come back on and to enjoy. The time has been well spent. To the technical team of EJC and all the other individuals, the executive body of ASI Jamaica Union, to the various chapter presidents and their executives who worked assiduously to make the summit a success. I just want to give God thanks on behalf of all of us and to say thank you very much for making the effort, for participating, and for staying with us from 9:15 this morning until now. To God be the glory, great things he has done. See you all for the next time when we're around. At this time, I would invite Dr. Joseph Smith to close off in prayer for us. Do we have Dr. Smith here with us?
Alfred Thomas. Alfred Thomas will pray.
I just saw Joseph. But go ahead, please, President Thomas. I invite you to open your mic, President Thomas, and go straight ahead.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for today. You had a very successful day. Thank you for the men and women of ASI who have dedicated their time and their resources to have this session today. We pray for continued success in all the projects we do. We thank you for the panelists who have enriched us with their experiences. And as we now separate, we thank you, God, that today was a high day in Zion. We ask that you continue to bless all of us, bless all the persons who were on the platform, and ask that you continue to give them the vision so that we can occupy until you come. Thank you for hearing these prayers. We pray for Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all so much. Mr. President Foster, I give you the last moment.
I'm just basking in gratitude for all my friends and family and brothers and sisters. I thank you so much. I thank you, Leon. I thank you, Adis, Pastor Smith, and all our presidents. We just want to thank you for everybody that played a part, and for the panelists, Miss Marlene. Oh, good to see you. I long to hug you. Because of COVID, you are staying far away from me, but it won't be too long, all right? I just thank everybody. Nigel, I just want to call it Nigel. I don't want to say the other part because there might be an officer somewhere. And just everybody, I just thank Yvonne and Tavia. And it's 12 hours, people. It's 12 hours, all right? These 12 hours you have spent. So we must be very much grateful that God has kept us through these 12 hours, and it was good. Thank you very much, and see you again on the 13th of June. The 16th and the 19th of June. That is going to be the week of what we call it, ASI week. It is going to be a tremendous week, and Alfred will tell you that we have Dr. Harewood for the Sunday night, and our dynamic Footprints of Hope speaker, Pastor Glenn Samuels, for the Wednesday night. It's going to be Catawampus. And then on the Sabbath, we have Chaplain Dr. Barry Black. So we are going to get ready for that wonderful week of celebration as we move on day after day. Just keep praying and working hard and commit to the church. And I want to thank finally our president, our union president, Pastor Brown, for a wonderful breakdown of your walls message today. The walls are coming down fast, Pastor, and I'm sure that we are going to stand on the ruins and we're going to take our steps out in the unknown, and God is going to save us and take us through. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
So long.